Hello and welcome to another Forex Triple B weekly summary. My name is Jordan and today I'm going to walk you through the past week's examples that we find interesting, that we find tradable, and go ahead and basically discuss the different approaches that we might be using when it comes to these specific setups. So the previous week started from the 14th up until the 18th, which pretty much gives us the whole page here. Now, I'm not going to cover all of the trades, all of these examples here in the table, but I will focus on some of them, which I find interesting for one reason or another. All right, starting the first one, Aussie dollar. Now, here, what we can see that the price pretty much pushed in a very aggressive way to the downside. That usually means we want to be looking for pullbacks to be sold. In this case, the pullback might be considered a bit more aggressive, but after all, according to the strategy's rules, this is what we're getting. So we need to check for further elements in this setup and whether we like it or not. The very first thing that I usually do is check for levels. And in this case, we have from previous day, right? Those are the days here. And if we look left, we can see that this weekly is meeting daily support too, right there of this specific day. So this is for one reason or another, a massive level. Slightly above, we have more zones, right? So this entire zone becomes a massive level, which ideally is the first resistance zone. And if the market holds it, we can be using it as a reference point to look for the sales. Now, look what's happening on the very first time. So basically, we go through this thing, bounce and continuation lower. Once the initial breakout is finished, the price starts pushing in the opposite direction. And the very first time we're touching it after the price moved away from this level, right? The very first time we're touching it afterwards, look at this spike. If you're looking for sales, this is definitely a good sign. Now, besides that, we never managed to close above this weekly zone, breakout of this or whatever fractal you want to take. If we look at it in pure price action, this is the zone, right? This is the swing point. So bounce to down, breakout below these levels, right? And this is where we might be looking at a good, decent opportunity. Next, we have Ethereum, which also suggests, at least in my opinion, an interesting example here because we're in a clear bearish move ever since here. This is the 15-minute chart. The higher time frames filters, however, started agreeing and basically switch because they're lagging a bit, right? The 15-minute chart will be switching and the price action will be very clear. But the higher time frames, until they agree, both of them to be showing bearish, it took some time. Up here, from that point on, the filter suggested, all right, we should be probably looking for sell opportunities. So what do we do first? Well, we can see that on the 4-hour chart of MACD, there was a hidden divergence before, right? And that means bearish pressure. We have filters suggesting continuation lower. What about the levels? We have daily pivot on its own, not strong enough, not ideal conditions. We have the next two levels slightly above right here. And if we have to be absolutely accurate, we kind of tested them, right? We can't say we didn't because this is probably missing a pip or two, a point or two. So from that point on, what we're looking at is a beautiful, well, maybe not beautiful because this leg is not 61.8 at least, but a decent ABC structure. Okay, we have a level, we have hidden divergence on the higher time frames, and we have a breakout right? This is the middle point of the ABC structure, not these inner points. We have a breakout. So it starts to look kind of cool and interesting, in my opinion. Then we jump forward to Euro franc. And for Euro franc, the situation was, let's say, bearish for a very long time, right? We had this massive bullish run on daily, and then we started to trade inside something that reminded the flag. And if we look at this structure on the lower time frame, this is a clear bearish trend. So for one reason or another, the filters are again pointing to the downside. What we would like to be looking for here is sell opportunities. Now, it broke for a second, multiple times here, right? It went to neutral. Basically, the cloud is telling you when the filters were in agreement. So bearish, this is where it breaks. And then we start building the new bearish trend because the price started pushing lower. And basically, this is in alignment to the downside. So what are we looking for? We're looking for ideally corrective structures because we're breaking below this low, right? We started pushing up, up, up. This is kind of a swing on the 15-minute chart, and we're breaking with a massive push to the downside. Then we have the pullback. This is where the price started touching the opposite band, right? And this is the moment where we want to start looking at the most recent fractals after we touched. So break to the downside, and now notice what's happening. The price, as I pointed to this level, this is also a weekly zone. So massive breakout, right? The price broke up, managed to hold for some time, and then it fell, breaking lower. Now we want to see if this level will hold or not. Attempt to break, failed, and now we're breaking. Now this is not the same as breaking such a level, right? In this case, maybe that spike would play this same role as this, but overall, this is a single wave right here, right? If we look at it in a slightly bigger terms, this is how I would look at it. So the count, even though we have multiple lows and highs, for me would go like this. Imagine you are one time or two time frames higher. This is how you can get the proper, the real, the most reliable swings on a given chart. So imagine this is 1 hour chart, then this is what we are looking at, right? So that would be indeed 15-minute chart or whatever the time frame you're going to have here. Anyhow, let's not drift away from the subject. As per the rules of the strategy, breaking below the zone, corrective structure, breaking below the swing, not swing, sorry, the fractal. And the idea is for this thing to continue lower. Then we do have door cut, which in my opinion is also kind of interesting. Now, door cut started a massive, massive push up. Previous week, the filter switched to the upside. It felt like we're going out of a range where the price was trading for some time. And after we broke this range, the idea was to possibly look for continuation in that very same direction. Now, again, if we look at it in terms of structures, I would personally label it like this. The price stopped right here, weekly pivot holding, the price is bouncing around it. But in general, those are the extreme points when we look at this level. So ABC structure, at that moment, right here, the filters are also in play, right? And we have the green cloud supporting the price now from the downside. Touch of this thing, break above the most recent fractal, and we're looking for continuation up. Now, if you have a bit more understanding of the markets and you have some extra skills besides the triple B, right? And you understand all these that I'm suggesting, in these cases, you can be also looking to increase the target when it comes to 15-minute chart cycle, right? Because in this specific case, I would be expecting if the analysis is correct and the hard time frame and everything, for this thing to create fifth wave. If we're going to be creating the fifth wave, that means we need to be breaking the swing high. I'm not going to go into the details about fifth wave, how to determine the actual targets, etc., because this is not Elliott Waves seminar here, right? But as a very basic rule, we can say that we want to see this high being broken and the price to continue higher, which means in this specific case, if that's your original target, you can be extending it at least by 2 times or so, right? So having this extra knowledge is always useful. And as we can see on the lower time frames, there was nothing against, right? The price started gaining momentum. So everything fell in place. And as you can see, the price simply shot up. So this extra knowledge could be actually bringing you some extra profits, if you, of course, know how to handle these situations. All right, ladies and gents, I'll draw the line here. Of course, if you have questions about any of these examples here, about any of the things happening in this table, do not hesitate to leave a comment below this video or find us in the group, and we'll be there for you anytime. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.